For this module, we're going to have a quick look at how you can create a flat spiral in OnShape using the iPad version. I'm going to click on the icon for OnShape and start a new sketch. I'm going to call this one Flat Spiral. You have to remember that a spiral is like a flat helix when it's created, so we're going to be using very similar tools to that. So I'm going to start off by opening up a new sketch on the top work plane. So I'm going to click on the top work plane and then click on the pencil icon to open up the sketch. So we know that this is now going to be on the top plane, it tells us there. Okay, I'm going to pick my view to make sure that I'm actually on the top view. So like that, and then click the center point circle. So if I move my mouse or my cursor, can you see the plus sign? I'm going to get that onto the center of the origin there, and then drag out the size of my circle. Now, unlike the PC version, when you draw a circle out, it doesn't give you the dimensions straight away there on the iPad version. So you need to go back to the pencil and then click the dimension tool, and then you can click the outer of the circle, and that gives you the dimension there. For this, most of this we'll actually do this freehand, so we're going to leave that part off and just do the circle. Okay, I'll just redraw my circles. I've just undone that part. Is that in the right place? Again, so there. So on that one there. Okay, there's my center point circle there, and I'm going to green tick that. Okay. Now, so that circle is now drawn on the top plane. In order to actually create the spiral, we need to have a bit of height for our next drawing. So we're going to create a new work plane. As you can see, you've got the basic 3 there, but I might want to actually have an extra one that's higher up. So I'm going to click on the top work plane again, like so, and then I'm going to click on the features tool, which is next door to the pencil. And I'm going to click on the plane tool here, the one that says plane. And it'll give me an option of what sort of plane I want to create. The first one is an offset plane, which means it's going to be one that's slightly higher than the original plane. In this case, it's 25 millimeters. I only want this to be 1 millimeter above. So I just want it very, very close to the original work plane there. Okay, so we now have a new work plane called plane 1. Green tick that. And I want to put a sketch on that work plane. So I'm going to select that work plane first. So I'm on the plane 1, click on the pencil icon again. Okay, make sure I'm viewing it from above, like so. And then I'm going to draw a second circle, so center point circle, move that to the origin, drag out the size of my circle. This one's going to be much larger. Okay, so I've got 2 circles drawn, each on different work planes. Okay, one on the top and one on the new plane 1. Okay. Okay, now, because I've got 2 entities created, I can now create a loft. So I'm going to click on my features tool again. I'm going to pick the loft tool. So I need to then select which items I want to loft. Now, you have to be careful here that you do actually pick the circle and not the origin when you create this. So I'm going to just stretch this out, and I'm going to pick that circle there, and then the outer circle. So I've got the 2 items listed here. Okay, that's my 2 entities that I'm going to be using. Okay, that's fine. Leave it like that. Green tick it. Okay, so now I have a disc. Now it's only about like 1 millimeter thick, but it is a disc. It is a shape that we can use, which is fine. And you need something solid for the helix to create. Okay, I'm going to look at the underside of it so I can see my circle, because effectively it's like a bowl that's been created, a very flat, low bowl that's been created. So the helix is going to create on this underside surface. So I'm going to go back to my features tool and pick the helix tool. So I'm going to be using just turns on this because the height is determined by the shape we've already created. So click on that, and there I have a helix created, and I can do it clockwise or anti-clockwise, depending on which way that I wanted. So I've got a spiral coming out, or a spiral helix. I'm going to tick that. Now, the next thing then is to create the profile that's going to follow. So at this point here, that's going to be the start of my of my circle. That's where I want my shape to be drawn from. Okay, that's the start of the spiral. So I want to do a new sketch, yeah, and that's going to be based on the on one of the work planes there. So we're going to create a just close it off for a second. Let's just actually zoom this out so we can select the work plane that we want to work on. So it's going to be on the front work plane. That's a new sketch there. Okay, and center point circle. Okay, move that up to that point there, so it's actually in line with the origin, just at the start of my helix there, and drag out a profile. Now this could be a square, this could be a circle. Okay, the important thing is it's not going to be larger than the pitch size, otherwise it will try to overlap and then it will cause errors for you. Okay, so green tick that. So now I have a helix drawn and I have a profile that's perpendicular to that. Okay, now I can go to my features tool again and choose the sweep. So I need to select which items I want. So I want my profile to be the circle that I've just created, and the sweep path is going to be the helix there, right? Okay, and that should have created my my spiral for me. There we have a spiral. Now it seems to be sort of set into the original disc. So if we go back to the sweep, now they are the same color, which tells me that these are, it's been added to each other. So I'm just going to go back to my sweep and just edit that. I'm going to change it, instead of add, I'm going to change it to new. Okay, all right. So that you can see it's now two different colors. Green tick that. So now I have two parts created. One part is the original disc, and one part is the helix. And as you can see, they have eyes next to them, so I can actually switch off parts that I don't want. So I've switched off the original disc, and now I'm left with my spiral there. And if I don't want to actually see the work planes that are behind it, I can also switch those off. So I'm just left with the helix there, or the spiral helix, the flat spiral. Now the profile that was used for that can also be edited and created again. So if we go back to the sketch here, edit on that, we can look directly at that, and we can see that if we can edit this shape to make it into a more interesting shape. So I could draw in a center point rectangle, for example. Start from there, drag that out. Okay, so it's two shapes there. Yeah. Use my snipping tool, take off sections that I don't want, so take off that line and that line, say for example this line and that line. Okay, so I've got a new profile, green tick that. Okay, and that should sweep to create my new spiral shape there. So we've got a flat helix or a spiral being created there. Pretty cool.